all these other things that they've been referring to this particular time that we're in. I kind of like to say strange and crazy, and each day is a new adventure. So I don't know how you feel about it, but that's kind of how I've tried to make it something fun and exciting. I'm actually home right now, but I've been going into my office alone every day, operating what's considered an essential business. And I know that many of you are all doing different things in your own businesses to kind of keep going and keep things alive. So I just want to, I'm glad that you took the time out of your day to join us wherever you are coming from and whatever situation that you're in. And we don't know what we're going to be doing next month yet. We'll wait and see. We may be doing another virtual meeting. We may be doing a live meeting, hopefully, but it's just right now, everything is totally up in the air. So let me go ahead and give you just a couple of housekeeping things for this Zoom meeting, since we are actually on the Zoom platform. If you look in your lower left-hand corner, you'll see a little microphone button. That's the mute button. If you will please mute yourself unless you're talking, then that will keep the airwaves a lot clearer so that everybody will be able to hear. There's also the little video camera right next to that. You're welcome to keep your video on or keep it off, but know if your video is on that other people can see you. So if you're doing weird things, somebody might just take notice. I just thought I would throw that out there. We don't care how you're dressed as long as you are dressed. That's the main thing. So glad you're here. All right. I think we've got really valuable content for you tonight. And it's neat to do this too, because we have people coming from that aren't just local. So it is one way to kind of expand our horizons as well. There's a lot of good things going on out in the world right now. And I think if we all take a few minutes to really look around us and take notice of what is working right now, what is positive, what is fun, what is exciting, there's a lot to notice and take part in, just like this meeting. So having said that, I'm going to turn it over to Sue Malo. She is our current program chair and vice president, and she's the one that's really been instrumental in kicking this off, along with our speaker tonight, Amanda. So Sue, take it away, and I'll let you introduce Amanda.
Well, thank you, Ronnie. Good evening, WEO members and guests. We're thrilled to have you here. I'll echo Ronnie's sentiments in that many of us we're flexing new muscles, if you will, when it comes to conducting business. So it's the way this came about is that Amanda was slated to be a speaker for us in June to speak to the topic of utilizing video and expressing ourselves and doing better jobs with selfies and all that type of thing. And then when all of this came about, as a leadership group, we decided, what can we do? What can we do? Well, maybe Amanda would be willing to switch and conduct a Zoom meeting for us with her topic for this month. And so she helped us pivot. She's helped us get acclimated to this, and we're super excited for the content she's about to deliver and the ability to be together virtually and still share our bonds as WEO sisters and welcome our guests. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Amanda Goff. Amanda is the owner and head visual ninja. Don't you love that? Head visual ninja with her company, Silver Keys Media. She specializes in helping business owners unlock their brand story and tell that story visually through images and video. She brings to the table experience as an actor, director, filmmaker, designer, and over 13 years in marketing. Some of her street creds include she's got a Bachelor of Arts in Broadcast Communication and Theater. She co-directed and produced a local indie short film called Unmarked. And she is a nationally published photographer. So I would love to welcome Amanda to the WEO stage to share with us stepping into your brand in a virtual world.
Thank you so much, Sue. Thank you so much, Ronnie, for having me. I'm kind of moderating as well, make sure. So I have everyone on mute right now, and we will be doing Q&A, and probably the easiest way to do Q&A is to type your questions into the chat box, and I will address those at the end. That way we don't have a lot of cross noise and whatnot. So I am gonna get started with sharing my screen. Okay, there we go. Oops, it started at the end, so there we go, from the beginning. There we go. Okay, stepping into your brand in a virtual world. And everyone should have hopefully gotten a workbook to go along with this. That is designed to give you some action steps and a place to take notes, as well as hopefully take this offline and be able to actually formulate some ways that you can utilize the information tonight. The reason Sue and Ronnie and the team and I talked about kind of shifting the focus is that we're all now being required for most of our jobs in our businesses to be on Zoom, to maybe be doing a Google meetup, or even Facebook. You can have a video chat, and all of a sudden we're in front of a camera on a regular basis. And that's sometimes a little bit uncomfortable, especially when you're not sure how you want to show up. And so tonight I'm going to give you five steps to take and kind of assess so that you can start to take your brand and take that into the virtual world. Take that into these client meetings that you're having over Zoom, or take them into these meetings, you know, if you're part of an organization and you're on a board. I have a lot of friends who are on boards right now, and they're having to show up, and they're doing those meetings, and that's great because this is a great tool. But let's do it confidently. So there we go. So step one is to outline your brand. Now, this could be if you have your own business. This could be your personal brand. So maybe you don't have a business, but we all have our own person. We all have a way we want to show up in the world, professionally or in an organization. Or this could be your brand within maybe a company that you work for. So the word brand can have a really broad kind of covering, because really all of us represent something in some regard. And so outlining that brand and familiarizing yourself or refamiliarizing yourself with your brand is really important so that you can become confident when you step into it. So I do have some action items on the workbook, and it will take you through a few questions. But really, it's just assessing, you know, what is kind of your style? What is a way that you want to show up? What are your values? All of those things make up your brand. And when you have those in order and you have that foundation down, it makes it a lot easier, of course, to step into your brand because you have that confidence and you have that clarity. And that's one of the things I do with my clients, is help them get there if they need the extra push. So step two, and this is where we kind of, the rubber meets the road, so to speak, when it comes to the virtual world. We need to know how we can bring our energy into the virtual world, because it's really hard, as we're finding out, to capture. Luckily with video, we can capture people's expressions, their voice, and their body language all in the same spot. So that's great. But there's still can kind of feel like there's not as much energy. You're not getting that connectivity as you are if you're in person. But there are ways you can bring that energy. And the first thing is, you need to make sure that you're creating a space within your own home or your office, if you have an office that you're going to where you're socially distancing for your business, and find a place you're comfortable. Because if you're not comfortable and you're already uncomfortable getting in front of the camera a little bit, or even just dealing with the technology, it will translate. That's the one thing as a filmmaker and working with business videography and helping tell a story through video, is the camera picks up on those little nuances. And when you're not sure, or you're not comfortable, or you're just not feeling it, it will get picked up. So when you have a space that you're comfortable with, whether it's a little nook in your house where, for me, we live in 810 square feet. So I have 2 little spots in my house that I can make kind of my own studio. And I feel comfortable because I'm familiar with where it's at. I can close the door, it can be quiet, and I have a little more control. If you can, stand up for your videos. It's not always ideal, but it is one of those things that when you stand up, you're more grounded and you have energy. If you can't stand up and you're sitting, that's fine. Make sure your feet are on the ground. It's that grounding that gives you that stability and gives you the ability to kind of push your energy forward into the camera. The next thing is know where to look. And if you need to, you can put a little sticker. Now, it's the worst when you have your camera because you're using your phone camera, because that's sometimes different depending on what model of phone you have. So just taking a little piece of colored tape or a sticker and putting it there so you know where to look will help. And the reason is then you can connect visually with the people that you are talking with. And it's a little odd, like when you use a webcam, you've got your screen, which is in front of you, and then you've got the webcam, which is here. But looking into that webcam when you're having a dialogue is really important, because then you're looking at your viewer and they're going to feel that connection. And then lastly, taking a few moments before you go on a call, whether it's a meeting or you're going to record maybe a marketing piece, or even if you aren't directly presenting something, when you just take a few minutes to focus and give yourselves about 5-10 minutes just to breathe, you have that space and that permission to just gather your thoughts, gather your energy, and then be able to bring that into the meeting. It's kind of true as before you walk into a room or walk into a meeting in person. Same thing. You want to have that clarity of mind and that ability to take a breath first. Step 3, improve your presence if you have the ability to. The top 3 ways you can improve your presence, and these are all ways you can actually attain pretty easily without even purchasing anything. But if you're going to end up doing a lot of virtual meetings, or if you start doing virtual trainings, then you can purchase things that will help with that. But the first thing is lighting. So you want to make sure you're in a well-lit area. And the reason is because when you have lighting where there's shadows and you maybe are only half lit, you get those bags under the eyes, or it looks very dim and grainy. And why not improve your visuals by just making sure you're in a well-lit room? You may need to move a floor lamp in or open a curtain and kind of position yourself. Natural light is always amazing, but not always possible. So a suggestion, if you do want to buy a tool, would be a desktop ring light. They have ones that plug in to the laptop with a USB, or they are just plug-in or battery operated. So you can find those really inexpensively. And I can actually share with the team a few of my resources so that you can go on and look. But you can just go on and search for these things and find something inexpensive that will help you improve your presence. The next is stability. If you're going to use your phone, it's really ideal for you to have either a tripod where you have the little phone clasp that you can stabilize your phone so you can be hands-free. Obviously, a webcam will give you hands-free right off the bat, but you can balance your phone if you need to on maybe a stack of books or something of that nature. But when you are not holding the phone, you remove that shakiness and you remove that distraction. And then you're able to, I'm a talker with my hands, so that's kind of a natural thing for me, is to not have to worry about holding a phone as well, or holding the camera. So that stability also psychologically impacts how people are perceiving you. When, and this again comes, I pull in a lot from my background in film. Film and theater uses things intentionally to manipulate people's perceptions. And we can use that on the other side, where we can manipulate it to give us the most polished presentation. So when you have shaky footage of you or view of you, it's actually unstable, and the person seeing you is uncomfortable. Whereas if it's stable and smooth, their perception of you is that stability. So there's some psychology to that as well. And lastly, it's background. As you can see behind me, I have a virtual background with Zoom. That's a lovely option that they have, because sometimes you don't always have the best backdrop, but you want to have control over that backdrop. So if you need to, stand in front of a curtain, or maybe a nice painting, maybe a nice little setup behind you. Anything that will represent your brand in a nice, clean way is always ideal, because you're bringing your brand into your visuals. But it's also controlling that professional side. So I always kind of use the example of, you don't want to be, you know, that gal who is talking about organization and being, you know, clean and organized and modular, and then you have stacks of laundry behind you that's, you know, disorganized. It's a mismatch of message there. So you don't want that. You want to make sure that your visuals behind you are telling the same story you want to represent in your brand. So those are 3 ways that you can improve your presence. Okay, step 4, ease your way into this, in the sense of using this on a wide scope, because most of us have to go on Zoom calls. So we didn't really have an opportunity to ease our way into that. You can make those improvements and start to tweak that. However, with our current state, it's hard to know how soon we're going to be able to go back to a lot of in-person presentations, in-person connections, or even in-person marketing. A lot of people who were doing speaking in person at live events have now had to pivot and switch to online training, like we're doing now. But you can also take this into your business if you have one, whether it's your own or you're helping build as part of a team or an organization. You can start using these digital and virtual tools of video, because that's how people are connecting. So you can ease your way into this. And the first thing is to know your tools. So you need to figure out what you want to use, and then get familiar with them, because the more familiar you are with them, the more you're able to then not have to worry about how to set it up, or what button to push, or where, you know, like with a Zoom platform, you know, where do you unmute or mute or share? All of those things can be really nerve-wracking if you're not familiar with them. So really, you can just do test calls. You can, you know, get some of your friends, if you're going to do a presentation, and just have them be part of that to give you a little bit of support if you need to. Or just do it by yourself, so you can get the setup down and then be able to have that flow. So when you know your tools, that's going to really help. And then you can also utilize things like the private groups. You can create a private group in Facebook, or you can, like, you know, create your own Zoom call and just practice. And just practice, but it's not ever going to be perfect. It's going to be polished. And I like to really help my clients see that, because when you strive for perfection, you're never going to actually follow through with it most of the time, because it's never going to be perfect. You're always going to have an element of, oh, I could have done this better, I could have done that better. So rather than trying to be perfect, just realize we want to do as much as possible to be polished. And you do that through a little bit of practice and preparation and getting really familiar with your tools and getting really familiar with, you know, who you are talking with. And that's another point I'm going to just kind of step a little sidebar with, is really know who you're going into a meeting with on a regular basis. If it's a consistent meeting, then that should be pretty easy. That's going to be something that you're going to know your audience. But if you don't know, if you're doing a coffee meeting, a virtual coffee meeting, or you're having a client meeting, it's really helpful if you just do a little bit of research. You can look them up on LinkedIn. You can just get some background, because the more familiar you are with them before you have that meeting, the easier that connection is going to be, especially since you don't have the personal connection, the in-person connection. I think that's part of what's a lot of people are really struggling with right now, is that, you know, we're so used to in-person, and now we're not able to have that. And how do we move ourselves around that? How do we bring ourselves around that in order to still make the same meaningful connections in a way that's going to be beneficial to everyone? And then step 5, plan to and intentionally step into your brand. So this, again, I'm looping back around to the beginning. You're going to want to know your brand and assess it and refamiliarize yourself with that brand, and then make plans to be intentional about bringing that brand into the virtual world that you are creating. Really what it comes down to is getting your brain wrapped around that you are a really strong part of your brand, whether it's the personal brand, your business brand, or you're representing an organization or another business. That's still crucial to how you're going to step virtually into this wonderful world we have and start utilizing it in a way that you'll still be able to function and make the connections you need to. So when it comes to video, know your topic. Know what you're going to present on, or know really well what the call is going to be about. If it's a business call or it's a client meeting, have your little notes to the side, have your little outline, and really be very familiar with what you're going to talk about. Now, you're not going to read off of notes, or you don't want to tape them up if you're using a webcam, because you'll lose eyesight or eye contact. But when you're familiar and you know that topic and you know what you're going into, then that organically opens up your conversation. You're going to be able to bring in that energy, bring in your brand and your personality more confidently, because you have that knowledge. Now, we've talked a lot about video, because that, of course, is right now the big thing we're all dealing with, is the necessity for video. And that's the big thing that most people are really, really uncomfortable with. That's why they avoid going live. That's why they avoid recording a video. Now, not all video has to be of you, but right now a lot of it has to be of us. So that's where we've really focused on the video portion tonight, because it's important. However, there is a virtual side of images. If you are trying to build that foundation for your brand and your business or your organization, you really want to start making sure that you have a strong foundation virtually, digitally. And so you can do that through images. Start sharing those on social media. Start sharing those if you have maybe a newsletter that you send out. Make sure it's including some kind of image that represents your brand and your business. But when you are taking images and you are going to utilize this for marketing or putting a message out there, know your goal before you start taking them or before you post them, because that will help you really shape any of the content. It's know your goal. But with images, knowing your goal before you take it is a little bit easier, because then you can be really intentional in capturing what you need ahead of time so that you have the content and you can start laying this foundation. And then the last thing is mapping this all out. So you've got your brand, you've got some clarity there, you know how you're going to set up your energy, bringing your energy into a video or even an image, because our energy is present if we're taking an image of ourselves or a group of people that we're included in. That's there. So we need to know how to bring that energy. And then you're going to take that all and boil it down, because you've got the tools, you've got the knowledge, and then you're going to map it out. How are you going to use this? So how I map it out personally is I just use a Word document. When I am virtually planning out my marketing for all of the content that I want to put out there, I have it just outlined on a Word document. It's not fancy, but then I know what videos I need to record, what images I need to take. I know my schedule as well. So that's the other part of mapping it out, is knowing your schedule of the calls you need to make, the client meetings you need to have. All of these things, if you get it down on an outline so that you know each week what you are going to be doing, it gives you the ability to mentally prepare for it and know the direction you're heading. And that way you can be intentional. Just checking the time here really quick. Okay. So thank you. And we're going to take some questions. So let me go to my chat here. So feel free, if you have questions, you go ahead and put it in the chat if you haven't already. What is proper Zoom call etiquette for attendees? That is a great question. So one of the things you want to make sure with Zoom is, if you have to be on a call and you're not the presenter, is you still want to be in an area that is quiet and is well lit, because especially if you have to be seen, you want to make sure you look good. And you may have to talk and you don't know it. So you don't want to be in a place that you aren't able to hear or be heard, because of the fact that if you have to on the fly share, you want to make sure that you can do that professionally. Now, if you are, in an area where you aren't in a good spot to be seen, there is, on your Zoom account, you can upload a headshot or an image of yourself. So make sure it's an image of you that you like, and you can have that on there. And that way you are able to, kind of control what's seen, and you can still participate in the conversation. Now, in regards to video, there is a way on Zoom, the Zoom platform specifically. I know some of the other platforms have their own little ways that you can do this, but you can actually click next to the video settings or the video. I'm not so sure on the phone, because the phone app looks different than on the laptop or even a tablet. But you can go in and you can actually have it kind of it has a little touch-up option to touch up your appearance. So what that does is it kind of softens everything and evens it out. So that's really nice too. Okay, so hopefully that answered your question. If not, ask an additional question. So the next question is, do you worry at all about the content being shared inappropriately without recognition being given? So that's going to depend. So if you are presenting something that is your own intellectual property, before you do that, you need to have an agreement or some kind of conversation with whoever you are working with for that presentation, and make sure that you have say or some kind of direction on where that content is going. In regards to if you are giving the presentation or the webinar, really then you have control over that. So you know where it's going to go and where it's housed. But as far as, you know, is it going to be inappropriately shared without credit? That's where you just need to have a contract or an agreement in place as to what's going on and where it's going. And that's partially why, like, I have a slide at the end. It's my thank you slide, but it is my information, so you can embed that as well if needed. Okay, let's see. Okay. So what is the best platform for video? Is it better to record and upload or go live? That's partially a preference, because some people do really well with live and some people do not. I personally have gotten used to live. However, it does two things. You're using the platform's own service, so you're playing by their rules, so you get more engagement. So if you go live on Facebook or Instagram, you're going to get more engagement because you're going to get a pat on the head for following the rules. If you upload, you still have a lot of engagement. It's video, but it's got a little bit less eyeballs on it. So part of it's going to depend on what you want to do with it. I would suggest, if you do Facebook Live, you can go in and you can download that, and you can then have that for your own files. So then you're keeping your content even though it's out here. I think with YouTube Live, and I believe Instagram Live, you can pull that content down. As far as platform for video, I have found either using a really good quality external webcam on your laptop and recording through something like Zoom, or there's a few others, the captures that you can use, but Zoom's worked really well for me. But cameras now are really good too, so you can use just the video app that comes on your phone if you have a newer phone for those recorded videos. And then they're a little bit easier to edit and then post directly to social media. 2 to 3 referrals to find equipment such as cell phone tripods. Yes, and actually what I will do is because I think that there will be an email going out to follow up with the recording, is I will include, I have my DIY video and image tool kit list. It's basically all of the tools I have used and have played around with. So they've been substantial. If they're on that list, they're good tools. So really it is, because there's a lot of stuff out there and you don't know if it's going to fall apart the moment you get it. Now, as far as like a tripod, the brand I love, and it does cost a little bit more, but I think it's like 45 or 50 bucks, is Manfrotto, and they've been making tripods for a very long time, and it's based out of Italy, so they're very good quality. And then what you do is you buy an additional cell phone bracket to put your cell phone on top, depending on the cell phone size you have. So that, as far as being able to set up in lots of different areas, it's a lightweight one. They're lightweight travel tripod. So I can definitely, though, it's on my list. And so that will be hopefully helpful to you guys. Okay, is it important to have content or quality of content? And that is a fabulous question. So it is actually more important to have content than what we view in our minds as quality content. Now, I am going to clarify that. You do want to make sure that the content you're putting out there is of value. So depending on your goal and purpose, which is something that you'll want to figure out, what is the goal of the content I'm creating? Is it to bring in business? Is it to provide value? Is it to make connections? All of those things are going to shape your content. And you want to make sure that the content you're creating is valuable, because that's what's going to attract people to actually following you, is that point of value. And what I would do is think about the people you follow on social media and that you watch or read or connect with, and what are they putting out? And maybe mimicking that. Now, kind of goes back to practice for polish, not perfection, because usually when we are like thinking quality, we're thinking of perfection. We're thinking that it's, Hollywood production video, professionally produced images. We're kind of past that in a lot of ways. There's a place for professional photography. There's a place for professional video. But the amount of content we need to create is so much for our businesses that we couldn't afford to pay someone to produce it all. And what I'm talking about is in the quantity is, putting out a live video each week, or even every other week. You couldn't afford necessarily to have someone produce those for you. So in our minds, we're going to think quality is perfection or really high polish. But what I would suggest is you just start doing it. The content of what you're delivering is the important part, and you will get better as you go, and you will get more fluidity and more confidence. If you were to see some of the first live videos that I created, which I've taken down, and even some of my older ones I still have up, they're not something I'm like, ooh, that's awesome. My videos have gotten better. I've gotten better, but I actually like having those available because they show how much I've grown as I've studied, as I've invested in myself. And so it's kind of a testament to what I'm doing is working, and I hope to help other people do the same. Are there any other questions? Let me see what time it is, because I want to make sure we have introduction time. Last call for questions. You can always ask as well, and I can address in the conversation time. Okay, so I am going to go back here, and I'm going to unmute Sue. Okay, we should be back. Sue, you should be unmuted.
Looks like I am.
Yes.
So great, Amanda. That was just fabulous. I took so much great content from your presentation. I'm like you said, you just got to do it. You just got to dig in and give it a whirl and continue to improve, continue to polish. So thank you so much. And we're going to circle back to you here in a little bit. What we're going to do now, a couple of things. As we always do at our WEO meetings, we're going to introduce ourselves. So I'll step through a flow of that here in a moment. After that, Donna Baxter would like to speak about our WEO coffee. And then at the very end, we'll ask Amanda to come back on for any final questions. And then Ronnie Sasaki will wrap up our meeting. Sound good? So the way we're going to introduce ourselves is I'll start off. We're going to share our name, whether we're a WEO member or a guest, our company, and in 3 services or products, share how we help our clients. So I'll start off. My name is Sue Malo. I'm a digital marketing consultant with RevLocal, and I help my clients enhance their online presence with local search, review marketing, and social media. So I believe I've captured everybody. We're going to go in alpha order by last name, and Amanda's going to unmute, and you'll have the opportunity to introduce yourself to our group. So I see LaTanya is here, LaTanya Allen.
I don't see her right now
Okay.
so she
Looked
may
like
have
she may have
stepped
stepped
away.
off. All
Yeah.
right. Next would be Donna Baxter.
Hi, I'm Donna Baxter with Easy Green Clean and Safe, Effective Cleaning.
And you're a WHEO member. Perfect. All right, next I see Terry Chung. No?
I don't see, I see a Terry Kalinsky, but not a Terry.
Okay,
So-
that could be correct. All right, we'll come back to Terry.
Okay.
Deanna Cintas?
Yes, my name's Deanna. I am a guest. I'm a real estate agent in Portland, Oregon, and hang my license with Portland Digs. And I help clients learn about the functions of a house, find a house, and just learn the overall process of buying or selling real estate.
Perfect,
And
thank you.
For everybody, if you switch to gallery view, you can see everybody who's still on the call.
Perfect. Welcome, thank you. Brittany Corey. Nope, not on the
Nope.
call. Okay. Carol Lee.
Hello. Good evening. I'm Carol Lee Dewars. I am a contract CFO with Zia Advisory. I have been a WHEO member for almost 4 years now. And I help clients by providing them with financial data and analysis and by always having their back.
Perfect. Thank you, Carol Lee. Aaliyah.
Hi, I'm Aaliyah Eels, and my business is my own personal one. It's Eels Editing. And people are often confused about what editing is, but it's helping you find your voice on paper or websites, most often websites. So if you have a website that you need a little extra help on, give me a call. I'm a WHEO member, and I help Amy, who you'll meet in a moment, with the marketing. And I really enjoy it. Nice to be with you all.
Thank you, Leah. Mian Wei.
Hi, I'm Yan Wei. I am your Mary Kay consultant, and I am here to keep your skin soft, save your hands and create self-care for the time that we really all need self-care right now. And I'm just so excited you're all on here. Sorry, here's my energy.
Perfect. Thank you. Terry Klinsky.
Hi, I'm Terry Klinsky with Arbonne International, and I am a WHEO member, and I am happy to provide pure, safe, natural products for my clients. Thanks.
Thanks, Terry. Marcy Koski.
Hi, I'm Marcy, and I have been a WHEO member in the past. My business is Feline Behavior Solutions, and I help my clients through education and consultations for resolving their cat behavior issues, keeping their cats in homes and out of shelters.
Welcome. Thank you.
And I didn't do my roots or put on makeup, just for you folks.
A few of us are in that situation. Yeah. Amy.
Hi there, I'm Amy Loudenbach, and I have been a WEO member since 2006. I own Visiting Angels. We are an essential senior service, keeping our seniors home and healthy and safe, and do so through providing gainful employment as well.
Thank you, Amy. Carmen McGibbon.
Hello, everybody. My name is Carmen McKibben, and I'm here as a board member to a local nonprofit called Fourth Plane Forward. And we provide additional services for the small business owners within the Fourth Plane community. I think my husband is arriving as we speak, as I'm speaking to you. And then we also provide network opportunities, as well as increasing the community and economic development there in the corridor. So we focus on businesses from Fort Vancouver Way through Andreessen.
Welcome, Carmen. Thank you. Sam.
She's unmuted, so I don't know. Let's see.
She was here. Sam, are you there? Okay.
Okay.
Ronnie.
Hi, everybody. I am Ronnie Sasaki. My business is Enviromet. I've been a member of WEO since about 2010. And my company, Enviromet, is a industrial supplier of spill cleanup products for both oil and chemical spills and body fluid spills. We also help our clients prevent pollution. So that's what I do.
Thank you. Cami Tan. There's one here that's just a phone number. So is Cami? Nope, no Cami. We shall move on then to Ashley.
I'm Ashley Viscino with Formal Flush. I don't remember what I do anymore. I've been a month with a 3-year-old, 24/7. So maybe a daycare service. No, I provide luxury restroom trailers. So my prime business is events like weddings. I put the finishing touches on them with the fancy restrooms.
Thank you, Ashley. I see, let's see, Cassandra Tracy, are you still on with us?
Hi, Cassandra. Thank you. Cassandra Tracy. I am a WEO member. It's just my second meeting. So I do contract project management, computer system implementations, corporate training, individual and classroom training, and accounting, analysis, and consulting.
Great, great. Is there anyone I've missed? I still see somebody that just has a phone number.
That's Gretchen.
That's Gretchen. Okay, perfect.
Hi, I'm Gretchen Brennan. I used to be a WEO member long ago, but currently live in Idaho. I do bookkeeping. So I would say I help my clients stay sane by paying their bills and making sure that they get paid.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, anybody else we missed? Raise your wave. Amanda can take you off of mute. All right, that went pretty well. Thanks, everyone. Yay. So I'd like to turn it back over to Amanda. Did anybody have any other questions for Amanda before I introduce Donna?
Sue, if I can just give a plug for our WEO Roundtable, which is Thursday at 10 a.m. next week. What we do is this is where we get together, and usually a little bit smaller group. I don't know online if it will be or not, but what we do is usually try to follow up. And if you've been working through the workbook and you have any questions, Amanda, you're welcome to come along. we help people if they're working through. But the topic we wanted to do is go with also the book What If, because a lot of times as we're looking at our brand, we've got a lot of self-limiting things that are going on in an opportunity where we could really expand our business. So we're going to do a little bit around, what if we moved away from some of those self-limiting things. So we're going to be talking about this book, and then a little model of the cycle of perpetual sameness. So how to come up with a different idea and then move and change things so that we can actually act on that different idea and make sure we got the virtual plan to make it work. So if you're around Thursday, I'll give the link to the meeting. It'll be a Zoom meeting. I'll give it to Aaliyah so that we can get that out to you, and hope to see you there. And Nimway is my partner in crime, but normally we do it together, but because of this meeting, we're just doing one at a time.
Great. Thank you, Donna. Thank you, Donna. I'd like to turn it back over to Ronnie to kind of wrap us up for the evening.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Sue. I just wanted to say a hearty thank you, Amanda, for helping us put this first WEO meeting together. Let's all wave and just thank you so much, because I don't think we could have done this without your help. And it's been a lot of fun. And I think we can handle it. I think we can do this. So thank you, Sue, because you worked on a lot. Amy, Aaliyah, the whole board, quite frankly, is just pretty amazing for all of the work that goes on behind the scenes just to make something like this happen. So I just want to say thank you, and thank the rest of you for joining us on this experiment that we've done. It's good to have you here. We've got some good things coming up. We're trying to provide as much value. Donna already shared about this roundtable that's coming up next week. Even during this time, while things are really up in the air and nobody quite knows what to expect, we want to continue to bring you some good content. Aaliyah has set up an Instagram account, so WEO is now on Instagram as well. So be sure if you use that platform, you go click on and like the WEO page, as well as continue to communicate with us through Facebook. Coming up in May, again, as I mentioned earlier, we don't know if our May meeting is going to be virtual yet or if it's going to be live. We're praying for live, but we just really don't know. It seems a little soon at this point. But we've got Kristen Tierney scheduled to be our speaker. She is an author. She wrote Cracked But Not Broken. And this is truly an inspirational story. I think it's perfect timing. We see somebody who completely turned their life around, and she's going to share with us. I think all of us are going through some things right now that, because of the uncertainty, maybe it's a good time to look at somebody who was able to change their life and be inspired by them. And then in June, we've got Amy Schmidt. She is actually an expert on generational differences, and I've heard her speak. She's an incredible presenter. You won't want to miss June's meeting, and you'll get a kick out of, I'm not going to say stereotyping, but it kind of is that. So you'll enjoy that. Keep coming back. I don't know if anybody's interested. If I can line up a banker to do a Zoom call sometime during the day, and you can ask questions about the PPP loan through the SBA, she's more than willing to come online with us and answer questions so that when we get our packets in for this loan, it gets accepted and it gets moved through the system quicker. So I'd welcome your feedback if you want me to try to hook something like that up within the next week or so. I don't want to wait too long because I'm afraid the money will eventually run out if we don't act quickly. So Facebook is a great way to respond to that, or after the meeting, you can let me know. I believe that is about all I have for you for tonight. Stay tuned for what's coming up and what platform we're going to be on next month. This has been very valuable. I saw this bright sunlight coming in my window and realized that my lighting has been off. So it's good awareness now, Amanda, to have for these meetings. All right, with that, our meeting is adjourned. We'll probably hang out here for a few minutes if anybody wants to talk, and then we'll say good night. So good night. Cool.
Night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Yes, thank you.
Bye.
So ladies, it was very nice to get together.
Yeah.
And